Yeah, yeah. She look good and she waistline rolling. Look, she there, right there, winding up in front of me. Love how she making it go round and round. The wickedest waistline spotted. Look at that, right there.
Once again, it's your friend Sizwe. I want to welcome you to another episode of What They Do. What They Do. What They Do. What They Do.
Curry chicken.
What They Do.
You heard that?
Now, you know what they do. What they do is a place where we say what they do. It's a Miami slang, meaning what's up, what's popping, what's going on. And so here we are today, and we saying what they do. I got a big guest. Big guest. I'm so excited. Right? I mean, man, he assisted in putting soca on the map. Brought St. Vincent to the forefront. Yeah, man, on an international scale. I want to welcome Mr. Kevin Lyttle.
Yeah, man.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Was he seeing horse? What they do?
Yeah, man. that intro is what they do. That intro is nice, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you know, I mean, you're a living legend, man. And you know, if
Yeah.
I can give anything, is at least a halfway decent introduction. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. You know, living life. You know, watching the ways of the world and, you know, trying to expand my horizons as much as possible, diversify my life, and keep life as interesting as possible. Right? Yeah,
That's
man.
interesting. That's interesting. You know, not a lot of people talk about diversifying life and that being a focus. Like,
Yeah.
I think people are kind of living for today,
Yeah.
as opposed to seeing, opportunity, seeing something outside of themselves.
Right,
And
right.
I think that's speaking to that.
Well, you know, like last night I was at a conference. So my boy Honorable, the wrong paper bag edition winner circle conference with my boy Honorable, and a young lady asked a question. You know, she was like, what she needs to do to get that hit song or to become super successful in music and entertainment the same way as people like myself. You know, there was Walshy Killer there was DJ Nasty from 99 Jams, you know what I mean? Spikey, who's a great dance artist as well. So, you know, one thing I try to bring people focus to is that even though you have a goal and a dream that you want to attack, you know, you want to go somewhere, there's this one thing that you want in life. Do not forget about the journey and enjoying the journey, you know, the now, where you are, that position that you're in. Because as you're breaking down walls, there is essential moments and experiences that come as you break down that wall, right? And there's also opportunities that present themselves to you on the road. And it's up to you to sift through those opportunities while you're working towards your goal to keep bettering yourself in different ways and diversifying your life. You know?
Powerful.
And that is something that I want to impart in general to the world and to people in general. You know, even though you have your dream, I'm not saying give up on your dream, but please absorb the moment. Absorb the moments in life and where you are now and the opportunities you have now, because there's so much around you that you can take advantage of on your journey, because as the universe opens up pathways for you, and opens your vision to your vision, there's other things that are being, you know,
At play.
in play to make what you want to happen, and you can sift through it and find other avenues as well to keep you sustained until you get to that one thing that you need. You know, so like yesterday, my answer to that young lady was like, yo, you know that the music industry has like 20 or more, and somebody corrected me and said, I think it's like around 23 different streams of revenue. So you don't necessarily have to be there going, oh, I want to have a big hit song. There's artists in the world who just, you know what I'm saying, they don't have a big hit song, but they have songs and they have a following and they're doing shows and they're making bank every month
Yeah.
because they're performing
Yeah.
and people are paying to see them. People are buying their content, buying buying their records, buying their promotional materials, buying things that have to do with their brand. And we may not know them, they may not be international, but they're making bank because guess what? The world is a gigantic place, man.
You have to decide what it is
Yeah.
that you want, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you want to be able to sustain yourself,
Yeah.
or do you
Yeah.
want to be popular?
Yeah.
Because it could be a dichotomy. It could be one or the other,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of people who are popular,
Yeah.
but maybe not able to sustain themselves.
Exactly. You know, the saying in the industry, popular and broke, you know, it's a real saying because you know that probably 99% of all artists are broke, you know, because this industry is not, it's like playing the lottery. And if you don't understand business of the industry itself, you find yourself in a position where you are constantly spending money on lottery tickets. Because that's what every time you put out a song, if you're not looking at all the different streams of revenue and studying the business of music, you are just playing the lottery, trying to, get a song to happen and losing money.
Wow.
But if you are actually understanding the business of music and taking all the different opportunities around the business of music, you can actually survive on music in a smart way. But it has to be from a business mindset. Yeah.
You know, I had Marlon Hill on.
Yeah.
One of our early episodes, and he talked about the business of music and
Yeah.
understanding that, and that most artists don't have any clue about the business side. They're super focused on the entertainment side,
Yeah.
and being an artist, wanting to create, as opposed to understanding that there's another side, and that side is what pays you and is what gives you viability, what gives
Right.
you influence as it relates to
Yeah.
being able to
Marlon is a good friend of mine as well, you know, and you know, he's a real stand-up guy. You know, he does a lot for the Caribbean, just in terms of just helping out in charitable ways and with foundations and stuff like that. So he always comes real from the heart and tells it like it is and gives great information, you know what I'm saying? So more power to him,
Yeah, man.
where that is concerned. Somebody I rub shoulders with, so he's probably heard me talk about the business side of music as well,
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
you know, I'm a great example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Man.
Yeah, man.
Before we get into you being a great example of not just that, but just being an artist as well.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to talk to me about the group Sway.
Suede.
Yeah, Suede.
Suede.
Talk to me about Suede.
Yeah. Yo, you know, and there's an original group called Suede, which I never knew existed. But back in school when I was singing, you know, I started singing, me and my buddies in school, I was hanging out in the senior area. There was a hall, the assembly hall, where we all used to go and lime and hang out with the girls, because the boys' school and the girls' school were separate. The girls' high school and the boys' grammar school. But they're neighbors, you know, they're brother and sister school. But then there's a level called Upper Six, which was like a college level that existed in a hall, assembly hall that belonged to the boys' grammar school. And that was co-ed. So there was a lot of girls going there too as well. So that was the only girls on the school campus, really. I mean, you would see the high school girls, but we were there. And, you know, me and my friend Bailey was there. And me and him always on the desk beating and making music and trying to do Barrington Levy. We were there and trying my best. Never to stop love you, be there for you. Yo, we were big fans of Barrington and Barris and all these guys. So, you know, we would be in school knocking on with desks and, you know, making music. And it was close to graduation the first year. I repeated like twice, huh? I repeated classes like twice in
That's
school.
not
'cause
good.
I was-
Don't say that again. Don't repeat that.
Nah, but that's not a problem. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's experience in life is different, and
course.
you have different hurdles on your journey to make you who you are. Okay, you know, I can't tell you how much super bright people were around me going school who were flying through school, but when they got to flying through life, they were all stopped in their tracks.
Failure.
And then I come and I just, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, your little failures are what define you as an individual.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud to look back at my past and laugh at and be, you know, proud to say that I overcame these type of things, you know. So I had repeated like twice in school. And I think it was, this time was my first time repeating. And I'd gotten to Form 5. And we were like, yo, let's form a singing group. So, you know, we found Sean Sutherland, who he's a genius. He's a brain. He was doing mad subjects. This dude have probably like 12 subjects from high school, CXC exams. Like, you know, but he plays the piano like yo.
Genius.
Yeah. So, you know, he was our group leader. We brought him as group leader. We have Sheldon Wood, Kenny Miller, Addison Stoddard, Gary Comerbash, Hensley, T.O. Brown. It was a big group. It was about almost 10 of us,
Wow.
I think it was. And the first year we performed for the graduation. Now, I was about to be sent back to Form 4.
Yeah.
You know?
So you performed for your graduation,
For my-
but you wasn't graduating.
I wasn't graduated. I performed. Yeah, so, you know, and it became a big smash. So I got sent back, and some of these guys, they went into upper six with the girls because they went to that college level there in school. And, man, for those 3 years, I think it was, we were the smash in St. Vincent.
Man.
You know, because when we did that graduation, all the girls in the girls' high school started talking about us. And we started doing concerts. We did our own concerts. We were selling our concerts in the schools and in the halls and stuff like that.
Crazy.
Like the Lyric Cinema in St. Vincent. We packed out the Lyric Cinema. Yo, it was incredible because, you know, the kids were following us.
What age is this?
I was probably like 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, it was an incredible thing, you know, because you just never know in life. You want something bad enough, you have a vision of something, and you find people who share that vision with you, the sky is the limit. And that is what exactly happened. You know, the universe was open to us.
Yeah.
And we were so unique because we were doing all the Boys to Men songs and doing all the like All for One and For Example and Shy and all these things. We were doing all those songs and singing Jodeci lately. We were like just really the it in St. Vince. We were recording in the radio station. At the time, the country only had one radio station. So it was a big deal. Huh?
Nah, gotta be a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Gotta be a big
You got to
deal.
record in the radio station.
So is Suede really your transition into, man, I could do this?
Yes, and I won't say they're the only transition. They were a big part of the transition. They were a big step because what happened is I was simultaneously, before I started the group, I was playing around with the bands because I was in dancing. I was in an entertainment group in St. Vincent that did dancing, acting, everything, which was my family's group with my uncles and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was always performing. They would put me on stage to sing solos and stuff like that. And how I got the name Kevin Lyttle was from Glenn Jackson, who was a major announcer on our one radio station. He was island-wide. So he started calling me. He would say, the king, Kevin Lyttle, is going to be performing, you know, because he was hyping the shows and stuff. Yeah. And, you know, like and my group that I was with, at the time it was Young Turks, and then it transitioned to Creation Culture Club. But with my uncles, and the thing is that they were so known because they were doing all the new music videos with the bands and stuff like that. So they'll be the back-end dancers and do the choreography for all the videos.
Okay.
And in those days, it wasn't no elaborate video like with Michael Jackson. It was like Caribbean, we trying to shoot a video, we
something,
do something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have choreography and we do a thing, and we were known for that. We would be doing all the placards on stage when the Calypsonians singing, you know, bringing across signs and doing the dancing and everything. So, you know, I was very exposed to the industry. So I got to meet a lot of the people, and my name as Kevin Lyttle, because my actual name is Scott, Kevin Lyttle Coombs, right? My mom called me Kevin, but all my friends in school called me Les Scott to make fun of me. Because they know everybody else called me Kevin. So they would be like, Les Scott. Yo, even my cousin Luther, who's a very well-known artist now, the minister, the ambassador to St. Vincent in New York, he's called me Les Scott and he called it. He's like Les Scott. You know, everybody likes to mess around with that. You know, but it's all a part of the experience of life. You know, you have to have the things about you that, you know, make life fun still, challenges you mentally to be able to laugh at yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to be able to laugh at yourself, right? But keeping on topic with Suede, you know, after I was doing all these performances outside of school, I was more friends with adults than I was with friends in school, because I was always made fun of in school, you know, because I was the only child. I didn't have no brothers or sisters, and I wasn't really good with people my age. I was better with adults. So I was in this dance group with adults, and, you know,
you're probably more mature too.
On a different level. So I wasn't really good with cracking jokes and being funny sometimes in the way that I thought the other kids were. So I was always the brunt of the joke a lot of the times. Yeah, but, you know, after just doing that, we formed that group in the way that I described, and I started getting even more popular because I was one of the lead singers of the group. And basically, the bands started scouting me on the island, you know. So like Black Sand, which was a very famous band, which the band leader was Adrian Bailey, who's now the producer of Turn Me On. And also Signal, which Luther, who I was talking about, who's the ambassador to St. Vincent in New York, he was one of the lead singers for that band as well, with Papa Das. And I got in with all these bands, traveled around with them, went to Canada and things, you know, some nights hosting up because, you know, there was all kind of rivalries in these bands. When you now come, you know, they turn down your mic, you're there screaming, you can't hear yourself, you're losing your voice, you know. So I didn't really like it because of that. And, you know, Suede had already gone, and that's how I transitioned to doing solo work, because I did recordings with those bands, and some of them did well. I had a song called They Jumpin' that was written by Dennis Bowman, who was a former lead singer of Black Sand, as well, and that did well for Carnival 1 year, I think. And I did another song. Boy, what was that song called? She winding up, and up. I can't remember the song though, boy. I just remember some parts. I wrote that song, you know, and that is part of how now I met Abijah, because I was working customs. Abijah was like, Kevin, you sang some songs some years ago. Why you don't come back and sing some songs this year? And that is how I went and made Turn Me On. I was working at customs. I was probably like 21, 22 years of age, just finished college, just coming out of that stint with the bands as well, and, you know, in those past few years. Yeah, man.
Wow, that's crazy. So from long time, you've been a student of performing from 16. Like this is nothing like that.
Yeah, not from 16, like 14.
14.
Yeah, 14, 15 years of age, around there. I was the first time I performed at a tea party for the dance group, and the girls went crazy. I was singing "Shower Me with Your Love" by Atlantic Starr. It had just come out the year, and it was so big, and I was sounding like the record, You can look up that record, "Shower Me with Your Love," huge record.
Kevin, you come from a country of about 100,000 people.
Yeah, right now 90 actually.
90.
It goes up and down. Sometimes it's 110 too.
How were you able to carve out, like one man, carve out a situation that took you and your country really to global, like to the world?
You know what it is? St. Vincent has always been doing that. A lot of people forget because a lot of generations that come, but before me, there was people like Beckett with Teaser.
Of course.
That was regional into Latin America, into America. I mean, he didn't get to push the success for himself into some of the major markets, but everybody sang over the song, and of course, there's people now like Jamesy P with Nuki. There's
James is my guy, by the way. My guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Skinny Fabulous, Problem Child. St. Vincent has always had super successful artists. There's Winston So. I Don't Mind.
I don't mind. I don't mind. You want to give me, I won't refuse it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so there's
I know
always.
I know.
There's been a brunt of great artists from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, always cutting through, always doing something different. As a matter of fact, Vincy bands, when I was performing with them, when we do Toronto and we do New York, bro, every show sold out. Like, we will be performing inside of the basements for churches and stuff like that too. Like the church basements in Montreal and Toronto
Montreal.
with these guys. And I was like, but we're going to sing soca, go wind up and carry on in the basement of a church, There's a church all the time, because I'm like 17, 18 years of age, first time traveling to do music like that. And to believe I'm down inside of, if you understand St. Vincent, with religion, Anglican Church, Catholic Church, Baptist, it's like really, St. Vincent is really
religious. Yeah. So that's blasphemy.
Yeah, I say, boy, wait. This is me new to the world, boy, basement ram.
Yeah.
And, some of them shows, it just was unbelievable as to the type of power that our people had out there. They had a following that would bring out not just St. Vincent, but bring out the other islands as well. I remember doing shows with people like Freddie McGregor in Caribana, like that. And, we mash up the place. Like, you know what I'm saying? Big festival. Outdoor festivals and stuff like that, So, Vincy in itself, they've always had these bands and these musicians that push the boundaries. So staying on top of it, there was always a lot of boundary pushing from my country. Small Pinders Chokard is a song that went in and win Road March in Trinidad, I think. I don't even remember that record.
Small Pinders Chokard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I could go song for song with you,
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, and I hope I ain't making no mistakes with some of these things, make sure you fact check me because I just remember things wrong sometimes. But, I basically was a student of watching people like bands like Touch, who were winning Road March like 7 years straight or something like that. For a long period,
right,
and selling T-shirts to the point where they owned a disco in St. Vincent, which was the biggest club on the island. You know what I'm saying? And sold out every weekend for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these guys, however, they were pushing boundaries. Like they were like creating. They were trying to sing R&B on top of them soca songs, you know, they would bring the reggae fusion into it, and then you had man like Beckett who brought raga soca, with songs like soca reggae, like there was all these kind of fusions coming out of St. Vincent.
Isn't that exactly what you did with Turn Me On?
Well, this is what I'm getting to. You know, this is how Turn Me On came about, because now these guys, I was looking at these guys, you know, some of them were saying, nay, it's impossible to make what I made happen. And some of them just had the dream. And I was listening to them, and they were using Zouk and mixing it. And there was a record by Prima Donna Bascom and Stone Love Daddy, I think it was the name of the artist from St. Vincent. And he was singing that kind of style like Buju. He was very using that raspy song like Buju. And it was Zouk with a kind of reggae kind of thing, similar to how Turn Me On. I can't remember the song now, but I used to love that song. If I hear it, I know it. And when I went in to build Turn Me On, I went in with the R&B song for 112 that I interpolated. I totally rewrote the song. I said, yo, this song on a soca beat could be something. So I brought it to the producer, which was Adrian Bailey. And, bro, the rest was history, you know? And told him, yo, I want that. You remember that song for Stone Love? The same way I'm telling you about it. That song for Stonewash Daddy and Prima Donna with that. And, you know, I was telling him, yo, you know, the Punani rhythm with Now the one that had the deeper bass line, you know, Shabba had the one.
The original.
The original. I'm talking about the one with fragile body, feel fragile, you know, with the tight like a virgin, tight, that So this is how I made Turn Me On with him. I sat there with him describing these things, and he came up with
Listen, 2003, right? Kevin, 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
2003, I was deployed in Iraq.
Yeah.
I came back in late, I can't remember. Right? And then I was stationed in Colorado. I moved from Arizona to Colorado. Right? So I'm in my apartment. So we 2003, 2004-ish time frame.
Yeah.
I'm in my apartment and I turn on the radio. Right? So it has to be 2004. And I hear Turn Me On. And I'm saying, I didn't put that CD in. I didn't put that. I think I had that CD.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably one of the CD that I had on my back walking around with it.
Right? But when I went to look, it was on the radio.
Yeah.
In small Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Right? And I can remember this like yesterday. I was screaming and they're like, yo, this is, like, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm sure other people had that same kind of response to this soca record. Well, I know to be a soca record from 2003. As a matter of fact, I was saying, well, this record old to me, right? Because I know this song, and that's probably why I was saying, like, I didn't turn on the CD, and then I heard it. Then I saw it was 103 point whatever on the radio, and I'm like, yo, right? This experience, right, of really breaking a boundary from a youth man from St. Vincent to take a record, a soca, a dancehall, right, an R&B blend that you develop by yourself, right, or made on your own. I mean, you had some help, but it's your vision. To create that and then for it to become what it is today, still today. What's that?
You know, they asked me a similar question last night as well, and I was like, yo, it was a place and moment in time, because what has happened at that particular time, nobody had really break with that song. Nobody had actually, you know, because what it was saying, yo, you have the voice, the song that make it catch people's attention. You know, it's saying your voice is so unique. You know, you either hate it or you love it. And, you know, I had a lot of that hate because my voice is high pitched, and, you know, some people just don't like that. They're like, you know what I'm saying? But it made you, it makes you look. So it made that impact at the time because it was just so different. And this was me listening to Cisco going, yeah, yeah, and doing all those kind of things with his voice, and people like Jodeci doing the same thing with their voice. And, you know, so I was like, when I actually did the song, I was like, we did the verses, the first session. We did the first verse, the two verses and the two choruses. I took it home. My mom was listening to it. She was loving it. She was like, this is nice, you know? And the next week I went back and we did the bridge. That hug me, kiss me, squeeze me, hug me, kiss and caress me. You know. And what happened was, like, I was always trying these high-pitched things, you know, because I always like say, yo, people like Stevie Wonder who have this kind of vocal range and stuff, you know, I wanted that because I know that is what makes a singer, like, respected, because he can use his voice in ways that nobody else can. And Michael Jackson with that too. So I was like, we were now at the point where, yo, we need to find an intro for this record. And so I told him, bring it from the top. Mm-hmm. And I just opened my mouth.
Yeah, pause, yeah.
I just opened, pause. I just went, oh, yeah. And it worked.
It worked.
You know?
And it's iconic because everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And like, God.
Yeah, you know, the producer was like, you ain't even know you just did it. She was right, because I was just hungry and full of energy and knew what I wanted, had the vision. And at that age I still had the mind of a child. You know, you have the mind of a child where you don't see boundaries, you don't see obstacles. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You just go in for what you want, bro. Yeah. You know, I had to walk at least a good half a mile in between some hills to get to his studio. Every time I went there to record,
there was no problem.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Let me go. Check a van, go down the road, let me go. You know, I probably had to take like 2 vans or whatever. It's nothing, you know. I mean, I was working at customs. I had a little money in the bank, you know, but I spent most of it to record the song. However, you know, I was investing in myself. I spent like $400-500.
So you didn't record that with the label. You did that on your own.
No, that was for 3 years. When you heard it was when the label finally got it. Mm-hmm. I was doing I was touring Europe. I was touring Canada. I was touring places that no soca artist had ever performed. And everybody was saying, a lot of the soca artists were afraid to go up in front of these audiences and this kind of stuff. But yo, I was doing it. I was in pop clubs. I was in hip hop clubs. I was in Melkweg, which was one of the most iconic clubs in Holland. You know, I was in places that international artists were performing, but I wasn't signed to no label. And because of that, the labels were looking at it funny too, because it was like, what is this? Who is this guy? Yeah. And everybody in the Caribbean was labeling me to be either American or labeling me to be Trinidadian or Jamaican. So St. Vincent wasn't even getting the credit. As a matter of fact, in St. Vincent, they said, yo, that's Barris Hammond singing soca, Jed. Like, they were saying it was Barry. They could not believe.
It came from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a situation that was good and bad for me. You know, because, bro, to do something like that instantly, it wasn't like, you know, I was working. I can't use the word instantly. I was working in the industry in St. Vincent, trying to make it, working with bands, working with this. There was a long journey there. But people who are successful in the region didn't see that journey because I wasn't known in the region. I never had no regional hit. Okay. So they are just like, I came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a shock to them too.
Yeah, so they thought I just came out of nowhere, but all the time I was behind the scenes working. I was there with Fireman doing back vocals for him when he was when his first road march in St. Vincent. I was there doing backdrops, doing all kind of props and dances for everybody.
Everything.
I was doing everything, you know. So I mean to say, yo, the journey itself, I just was filled with that energy that I am gonna get this.
Damn.
This is what I want. I want to be an international star, and I'm working on this thing.
It went so far too, like you talk about interpolation, that even, I mean, people cover it all the time. There's endless covers of it, but then not so recent, but some time ago, Chris Brown did an interpolation, right? Like, what is that feeling like? Like, because I mean, he is the upper echelon of R&B.
I mean, bro, the thing is that for me, I've been there and done it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I was very happy for the chance to make some more money with my music because I already own the song and making bank already.
Yeah.
So him doing that, like, you know,
Reignite the thing.
re-it up again. And then, you know, before that, Mamacita with Cali Buds, which I also have ownership in on the publishing as well. You know, Cheat Codes as well. You know, but for me, it's like, bro, I just try to stay humble and make the best of what talents are being given to me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't take none for granted, and I try my best to not take anybody for granted because, yo, no man is an island,
Yeah.
And as big as Chris Brown is, Chris Brown problems are just as big. As big as Kevin Lyttle is, his problems are just as big. So I look at everybody as just somebody else in the world living, and it was a great feeling. I was very happy that he took the song, and as soon as they sent the request, I approved it with my lawyers and was like, yo, this is a great for me.
Yeah.
Not just for Chris, but for me. So,
yeah,
hey,
of course.
hey, bro, like more power to him and thank you to him, you know, because, yo, we as a people, we have to look out for each other. And having somebody take my work and reuse it that's the biggest flattery, you know, that is.
It's a compliment.
It's a compliment, man.
Yeah.
You said it correct. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
It's the biggest compliment. You know, at first I didn't realize that, you know, because when Turn Me On first came out and I started in 2003 and 4 when it started, that was when it first came out, when it bust internationally, officially with a label. Before that, everybody and their mother was singing the song and recovering it. People were performing on shows and saying they're Kevin Lyttle.
Crazy.
People were getting jobs and shit saying they're Kevin Lyttle. I was like getting so mad because, you know, I'm young, I'm new, and I'm trying to protect what I have.
course.
And it's my first time and I don't want to lose, you know, I'm now making money for the first time.
Yeah.
So, you know, you at that age and that stage in your success, you know, you're looking to figure out how to protect your future. So, you know, I didn't understand the full business of music in the way that I do now. So at that time, I was so, like, livid about it. But, you know, I got over it as in time I understood how it works and how beneficial it is to me and understand how long-term money is more important than short-term.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So let's cut.
Yeah. Les Scott. You have to say like a Vinci, Les Scott.
Scott. Your record, and I don't want to stick too much on this because it's a record that you had and you have so much more in your catalog. But your record went #1 R&B in soca, right? Or #1 R&B soca record, right? At some point, you were signed with Sony Ultra, and you now have Terracon. How does that play?
You know, I've also been signed to Universal in Japan. I've done deals all over the world, man. Like with my music. The thing is that, like the music industry keeps changing, I kept changing too. You know, it's just like transition into different levels, learning how to manage what I had, you know. So, you know, I had opportunities here and there with different companies after Atlantic Records, and I just used them, you know. And I was green, you know. I didn't really know much either. Just trying to find a way. I didn't know how to form a business in America, you know. So thank you to my wife, Dr. Jacqueline James Lyttle, at the time. You know, she basically, just guided me because she went to school here. You know, she was the first black woman to graduate from the Coast Guard Academy in engineering.
Wow.
As well. You know, civil and architectural engineering. And she just understood. She had a cleaning business. She had different businesses on her own, even while she was in school. So, you know, I was like, yo, this woman is spectacular. I need to learn from her as she was teaching me things. And she was aggressive, but her aggression was because she loved me, and she showed me so much and taught me so much, you know. I learned just how to set up a company. I gained my confidence as a business person, you know. So it you know, it just building my own record label, doing our own distribution company. We just, you know, she knew about Sunbase and all these things, and how to form a company and stuff in these type of countries, you know. She understood the bureaucracy of the whole thing. So all that stuff was more her pushing me to do all these different things and making me understand the power that I have. Because originally, with the people I had around me and the situation that was presented because of me becoming so successful, nobody knew really how to navigate it, because there was just so many uncharted territories.
It's
brand new, and labels were changing, the internet was changing, YouTube came, Apple Music, well, iTunes came, you know, Facebook, you know, all these things started changing, and, you know, the whole landscape started changing, and you're like, you're still doing great, you're making money, but you're like, oh man, how do I do this again? Or how do I grow now? What's the next step? You know, because I came from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I came from this small island. I didn't have the guidance of, you know, and I say this not to say that other artists from the Caribbean had it, that guidance of having a professional manager. Even, you know, the dancehall artists, I didn't have it less or worse than any of them. But because of my mindset and the way that I was thinking in those days, me living in Jamaica with dancehall music and having the opportunity to go to a studio everywhere around the corner and people just recording you everywhere, the amount of information I would have already had on the music industry, that saved me in comparison to what I garnered from Little St. Vincent, that didn't have that.
Yeah.
If I had this personality growing up in Jamaica, I would have been a beast to deal with when it comes to the business.
Yeah.
Because because I was in St. Vincent, I was literally in the industry and dancing and doing all this stage stuff, but I was there backstage and all the big concerts and stuff, looking at the artists, asking questions, trying to meet the people, find out how things are done, doing research, every award show, watching, learning about publishing, royalties and all these things, and finding out about residual income in the music industry and all these different avenues.
I want to touch that too.
Yeah, you know, but just at the end of the day, you're a kid of 23 years old coming out of a situation where you were working as a customs officer, and then just suddenly you are like this biggest name in the world. It's like, like, and then you don't have
The guidance.
to take that knowledge to the next area. And nobody's telling you how big you are, you know. You're a superstar, but people around you, they're trying to make sure that they don't give you too much impression that you could survive without them. You understand? People are keeping you as dependent as possible, and even the people who aren't necessarily working for me, they're saying to me, yo, you don't know how big you are, do you? And at the time, I'm not understanding it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to be humble.
Yeah. And
You
there's some
know?
tunnel vision there too?
Well, no, I wouldn't say tunnel vision. I would say confusion. It's not tunnel vision. It was just confusion, man. Because at some points I was just having trouble with my singing because I didn't have no mentors. I didn't have no vocal training. And here I am singing these high-pitched songs and have to sing them every night sometimes and hosting out and, you know, and I'm nervous every time to go on stage. And I was more worried about that because from my standpoint as a business person at that level, at that time in my life, I was like, yo, I'm going to go on stage and people are paying all this money for me and I'm taking all this money from these promoters. The way I was raised, I'm thinking I have to deliver them an excellent performance.
Yeah.
So every day I'm practicing my voice and constantly trying to do vocal exercise and doing all these things to try to better myself, which in while I was more hurting myself than anything else because I didn't understand. I didn't have nobody really who, you know, like a mentor who was a singer that did it before that could actually sit down with me and talk to me and show me and say, Kev, you need to rest a lot more than you're not resting enough. You need to sleep more. Yeah, because I wasn't sleeping, bro.
Just going.
I was just going, bro.
Kev, there's some talk and some talk that I don't like, right? And I don't want to stick there. It's not the point, right? Of, you know, this one-hit wonder business, right? I've heard it on one of your last podcasts that you did. And I never like to hear that because I think that you're a living legend. And the fact remains that you have done music with Florida, Maya, Spraga. I mean, the list is long.
Yeah.
Right? Pushing through, how do we push through the message that this ain't no one hit and we could look at this catalog of music, right, that you have provided to the world, right? I want to talk about that, right? We've gone past the smash record and that presented you to the world, but then you've delivered time and time again.
Okay. You know that just getting a hit record in general is like hitting the lotto, right? And then maintaining yourself and being able to still be making millions upon millions after year, you know, that is another feat in itself because there's lots of people that have tons of hits and were never able to actually transition it into wealth.
The man said just now, I don't know if you missed it, but he said, it's one thing to have a hit, but then it's another thing to continue to make millions and millions, right? The man say he's making millions and millions. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't gotta be on stage charging no crazy money for shows and stuff when my song is generating millions per year. You know, people are trying to buy my catalog. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And, you know, you could say it's one song or I have one hit, but one hit where? One hit where? Where do I have one hit? Think about it.
I don't say that.
No, but people say that, but where? Where do I have one hit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm an international artist. And let me ask you something. How much artists in the world have that one song that when you think about them, that's their hit song? Isn't it most artists that have that one song that you say, yo, when you think about Seal? What song you think about?
I don't know. I mean, I know Seal, but I'm not.
You don't. You're not a fan.
You put me on the spot there.
I put you on this spot.
Yeah, I had to spice the tea. Nah.
Yeah, but you know, I was just thinking about artists that have like just a ginormous song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, at the end of the day, it's what you do with your success. You know, I mean, we could talk about Call Me, which was a major hit for me in the Caribbean. You could talk about Last Drop, another big hit for me in the Caribbean. Home for Carnival,
Home for Carnival.
Sexy Ways with me and what's her name, Trini Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? Drive Me Crazy with me and my boy there, Mr. Easy. You know, and I could go on and on. There's so much songs that I have. You know, does it make me upset? Yes, it does. Because nobody wants anybody belittling their achievement.
Yeah.
You know? There's people who have got tons of Grammys that don't make the money I make.
Yeah.
You understand
Big
me?
talk.
There's people that have tons. I'm going to say that again. There's people that have tons of Grammys that don't make the money I make, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make money in my sleep. And I just wish that my people, black people in general, would get out of this crab in a barrel mentality where we look for the thing about our icons to use
To tear them down.
We are too quick to buy into controversy. We have been trained to buy into controversy and negativity and not positivity. And that is something that has been used to help us destroy us. Like, you know, what's happening in Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore. They're his own people in Africa that they're using to try to come and kill him.
Yeah.
Because we are so quick to jump on the bandwagon of anything that gets us that attention that we feel that we deserve. We are so entitled at times, we need to stop it. We need to realize that we need to uplift our own more than anything else.
Absolutely.
And stop feeding into these negativity narratives, you know what I'm saying? Stop using negativity to make yourself famous. It ain't gonna do you no good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Kevin, when you talk about, yo, I make so much bread. I make bread in my sleep.
Yeah.
Right? What are other artists missing, particularly from the Caribbean, right? From our Caribbean islands, soca artists in general, missing what they're not doing to provide them an income outside of, you know, fighting up with this promoter and that promoter. Yeah, to make a little $1,000 here, $2,000 here, you know.
I think they need to do what Skinny is doing, you know, because Skinny is doing essentially what I did. You know, Skinny Fabulous is, and so is Problem Child, you know, and not because they're from St. Vincent and I'm from St. Vincent. I mean, me and these guys went to school together, you know. We kind of the three musketeers of music in St. Vincent. You know, Skinny is younger than me. Problem is my big brother, you know. And you see what Skinny is doing. What works for him is that he's built up this strong catalog of soca songs and built a name for himself. And he diversified himself into the different revenue streams that comes around being a popular artist in a region. You can put on shows. You can sell merchandise. You can work with other business people who are in the industry in different ways, whether it be promoters or dancers or whatever. Yeah. You know, he's capitalizing on that to the point where he owns brands in terms of shows and stuff like that. And is silent partners in a lot of different things, which I'm extremely proud of him for. And then Problem Child, he's a writer. He's writing hits for not just me. He's writing hits for tons of Trini and other
Artists,
artists in the islands, and he's collecting his publishing and
Yeah.
doing exactly what I'm doing. But they're both basically doing what I am saying, diversifying yourself with whatever you're given. And the music industry has all these different
Streams.
streams. You know what I'm saying? Am I sticking on topic of the question? I'm trying to...
Yeah, no, you're sticking on topic.
Yeah.
I'm asking you what are other things that artists need to do, because I think that
because that is what they need to do.
for some reason we don't understand publishing, we don't understand marketing, you know, and as an independent artist that you are and having your own label, you can position yourself in many different streams.
Yeah.
And many art. I was watching an interview the other day, and it just seemed like the young fella who was on the podcast didn't really know about the business.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just not him, it's many of us.
Yeah,
know?
and that is exactly what I'm saying. You know, this is why I draw that example, because you have to study the business of music. You cannot go into something just because you want to be famous. Being famous is not as nice as you think it is. Being famous is not as nice as you think it is. I'm very happy that I have one of the biggest records in the world. One of the biggest records of all times, really. Because Turn Me On, it never dies. It plays in the clubs all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to continue on that, but, bro, sometimes you say Kevin Lyttle, they're like, oh, I don't know, who's that? Who's that again?
Play the record.
Yeah. And then you play the record, then they know who I am. And I could come into a room and I could just be there in a corner, chill and humble and just talking. I'd be talking to girls there, they don't know who the hell I am, and they're just talking with me and enjoying a conversation. And then suddenly, I gotta hit the stage and take up the mic. I put on my hat on my head, and they're like, "Oh shit, that was Kevin Lyttle."
Yeah.
And it's a whole,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah.
And that's what I love. But the other parts of it, where you get cameras in your face all the time, people pulling on you, grabbing on you, groping on you, trying to, you know, they're using you in that way, like it's
too much.
It's too much. It's not something that you get to hate that. Having cameras flashing in your eyes and blinding you, and, you know, just feeling like you're how should I put it? Like you're
an object.
You're on display for people's pleasures, and then it becomes wearing on you.
Yeah.
You know, I know that people who don't have it say, well, I would gladly take that right now so I can make those millions and da-da-da-da. But, yeah, you get it. But if you don't study the business of it, you get it and you lose it with the same speed. And that happens to 99% of all artists.
There's a couple things I want to talk to you about. And I didn't mean to cut you, right? But I want to get to these two other things. Other things. One is being Kevin Lyttle, the superstar, superstar, mega super hit.
Yeah.
Outside of the Caribbean diaspora.
Yeah.
Do you feel a need to produce records for Carnival, for soca lovers, right? For that thing?
Yeah. I mean, because it's where I'm from. You know, I love producing music that is from my culture. I love my culture. I want to be up in the party and them getting on bad in the soca fete, and them too is where I come from. I was a dancer. My whole entertainment career was built around Carnival. It was built around entertainment and calypso competitions and pageants and doing. We were helping the girls with their costumes. Yeah. Literally, I got in trouble one time when my song first came out in St. Vincent in 2001 because this security guard came backstage when I was helping one of the girls get her zipper up on her pants in the bathroom. He come and break the toilet door. What are they doing inside there? This time I just stooped down between the girl, like trying for help. She pull up, she zip, trying to get she dressed so she to get out to go run on the stage. Yeah. Next day it came out, Kevin Lyttle. Kevin Lyttle, in the newspaper, Kevin Lyttle inside the bathroom trying to have sex with a girl. Right? So, I mean, this is what I was in. I was there working backstage,
Anything.
doing all of these things, you know. Bro, I did it all in Carnival. I was there helping build costumes. You know, we were with Blondie Board and Friends. We were always working with Blondie Board and Friends with my dance group, Creation Culture Club. We were getting free costumes and being in the band every year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I love Carnival.
So
Carnival is what
producing
make
music
me.
for the culture.
Is what I yo, bro, like I always want to do it.
Yeah.
I always want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So hence that's why I have this record right now with Problem Child. Hold Me. You know, Problem Child wrote the record.
Yeah.
You know, doing his diversification of income thing.
Yeah.
You know
You're
what I'm
assisting
saying?
him.
Yeah.
Man, before we get to that record, because I do want to talk about that, I also want to ask you about your app and the services that you're providing to St. Vincent.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. So this year, well, you know, I launched a app in St. Vincent called Von Zoo, which is Von and Zoo. Von means from and Zoo means to in German.
Okay.
Right? And please remember that German is the root language for English. A lot of people don't know that. English is Germanic. English is a German language, really. You know? So, you know, von, zu, from, to, right? And I launched it like 2022, 23. It just took off because I was telling people about it, you know, 2021, 2020, 2019. I was saying, yo, I'm about to launch a delivery app. And, yo, I was finding developers all over the world trying to get people to come in and build this thing for me. And I finally found a team out of India and got it done and launched it. Lost that team, but the app, people love the app in St. Vincent, you know, so much so it did like $1 million in food the first year. You know what I'm saying? And it's constantly been there in St. Vincent growing because there's nothing like it in those smaller islands, really. And, you know, this year we're about to turn the app into a super app where we are bringing now rides like Uber. Because, you know, I saw companies in China like Grab and WeChat Pay that do all these things in one app. They don't limit it. And I felt like this type of app is what will work in the Caribbean because our cultures is very much like Africa, very much like the Middle East, very much like China. We have a lot of diversity and a lot of stuff happening one time. And we, you know, like a lot of places too, we're poor people, you know, we're third world countries, and we don't have a lot of room on our phones for many apps.
You ain't got no time to play around with this one and that one.
That one,
and that
no. So I'm turning Vonzo into one super app. And the next thing we are launching with this update coming this month is rides in St. Vincent, which I'm super excited for because we've been testing. You know, shout out my development team in India. They've been really, really strong with me. Shout out my
So it's a ride share app now too.
yeah, it's ride share. It's gonna be grocery delivery, which we're partnering with couriers in St. Vincent. It's gonna be package delivery, which we're partnering with SwiftPack. Partnering with the Carnival Development Committee. We're about to put up ride app, pickup location signs all over the island.
Wow.
You know, so we're doing stuff, man.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's big.
yeah, we're even trying to partner with Sandals right now to be the official app inside there that, you know,
For the tourists.
yeah, for the tourists, that you trust to get a ride to come take you somewhere in the island. We're gonna put tours inside the app, and I'm coming for Carnival too. I'm coming for that ticketing of Carnival events. Because that should be in one app too. Like all that should be in one app. You go to the Caribbean, one app. Everything. You want to ride? One app. You want to buy a ticket for your show? One app. You go to the show, you open the same app, click, you go to your show. You know what I'm saying? That is what I'm producing.
I have a cousin who has an app for ticketing and for calendar invites, and I should link you with him.
Yeah.
And maybe you guys can do a collaboration.
Yeah, man. I'm always
that.
down, man. I'm always down to give advice because you know what? I'm a believer that what you...
Schedulesite.com is what his name is.
What's it called?
Schedulesite.com.
Schedule site. Nice, man. Nice. You know, but I'm a believer that what is for you is for you. And I'm not greedy. My thing is, you gotta impart knowledge. Not to say that you go and you give the world you put all your cards there so people could come and smite you or stop you from your success, but you don't be greedy. You gotta be willing to share knowledge so that knowledge will be shared with you, so that your brothers and sisters of planet Earth can love you. You know, people don't understand that having knowledge and being able to impart it and help others is one of the most important things in life. You don't have nothing. Yeah, according to Denzel Washington, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You know what I'm saying? So
Can't bring it with you.
You can't bring it with you. All this knowledge, all these material things. If I were to take you away from all this material, and you still had your wife and your son and your kids who were there saying, "Daddy, we need you though. Like, let's fix this." You're gonna fix it.
Damn right.
There's nothing in this world that can stop you. But if I leave you in these materials that you have here and I take away them, you're gonna lose your mind. You will feel like you're in prison in here.
Means nothing.
It means nothing. And that is the reality that most people don't read into in the early stages of their life. Nothing material matters if there's nobody to share it with. You know what I'm saying?
That is, yeah, I mean, just it is what it is. That,
Yeah.
you know, it's truth. So the Red Rum Rhythm,
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
big record.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it for some time. Written by Problem.
Yeah, problem
big
is
guy.
a problem. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's a problem.
It sound like it have a Problem vibe too.
Yeah, that's how he just talk. Problem tell me plain and straight, boy, you have to sing like how you just talk. Like, however you just talk things is how you have to sing them. And I was like, I was just doing this song with him. I was just like, bro, like, because I didn't like, my voice song when I was recording this song. But he have his vision. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, boy, watch and see. He's like, boy, you know, they say this gonna be big enough. Yo, I telling you right now, Problem is that just say that. Yo, Jed. I'm saying,
Yo, that's one
yeah.
soca artist that I like. You know, there was this certain part of my career where I was super down and he didn't know me from nobody.
Yeah.
Right? And he pulled me up and say, yo, you keep your head up, you know? He's that type of guy. Honest, and you need honest people. Sometimes they come across harsh, right? But you need people to tell you the truth. And that shows like how much they're there for you. You understand? I could call Problem today and he's gonna say, yo, Sizwe, you're on shit. Or he might say, yeah, that's a vibe, or and I appreciate that. You know?
Yeah, Problems keep it real. I
Yeah,
mean,
keep it real.
I've been working with Problem Child long time, long time. And, he's always been like just really like Problem. Like he real just playing. Problem just playing. And I like the growth that he has shown, because when I came around him to do this record, I didn't really I haven't worked with him in years, so I didn't really know what to expect now that he's gotten hits and he's gotten himself established. But I was pleasantly surprised. I like the professionalism, the way that he structures himself in terms of, he has his, he sounds like he's just very structured. He's very structured with his time and his, when he wants to do things, how he wants to do things. He's very planning around everything that he does. So I was very proud to see that, very happy for him. You know what I'm saying? Because, to be able to make money in the music industry is not easy. A lot of people think that just because you get a hit, you're going to become, this mega successful person, but you could count the top artists in the Caribbean on your finger.
Yeah, absolutely. One hand.
And
two hand maybe.
You can't count the amount of artists in the world right now. But you could count the amount of artists that are successful. You go to Jamaica, you can't count how much artists in Jamaica putting out songs every day. but you could count how much of them is successful. Similarly in St. Vincent, so everywhere, even in America, with hip hop and R&B and every genre, you could literally count on your finger the artists that are doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it is not easy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, Kevin, we have a segment,
Yeah.
right, on this show called Bring the Headphones. So I don't know, maybe you could bless. I mean, you've blessed me already with the interview,
Yeah.
right, with the conversation. But I wonder if you could bless me with a little performance, maybe of the new song or whatever record that you willing.
A little bit. You know?
Mad. So bring the headphones. Bring the headphones.
Check. Let's go. Yeah. She look good and she waistline rolling. Look, she there, right there, winding up in front of me. Love how she making it go round and round. The wickedest waistline spotted. Look at that, right there, look it right over there. I could do it some of that, so I pull up, but it hypnotize me. My girl, where you get that wine? You're supposed to come with a caution sign, a sign that say please beware of wine. Where you get that wine? You're supposed to come with a caution sign, a sign that say please beware of wine. All wine at your own risk. Girl, your waistline, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me. Hold me, mind, body, and soul. Have me under control. Girl, your waistline, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me. Hold me, mind, body, and soul. Have me under control. You're just wicked, it's obvious. You know that your ways dangerous, but you're moving as if you're innocent. You're not, you're just bubbling in the gun, making your bumper flick up. I could do it some of that, so I pull up, but it hypnotize me. My girl, where you get that wine? You're supposed to come with a caution sign, a sign that say please beware of wine. Where you get that wine? You're supposed to come with a caution sign, a sign that say please beware of wine. All wine at your own risk. Girl, your waistline, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me. Hold me, mind, body, and soul. Have me under control. Girl, your waistline, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me. Hold me, mind, body, and soul.
Mad, Kevin, mad. Thank you for the performance. Thank you for coming, my brother.
Yeah, man.
Giving us some love over here at what they do. You know, you're a living legend. You inspire me. I see you as somebody who is not just it's not simply interesting, but is a guy who has been steadfast in promoting the genre of music at which I love, that I appreciate, that I grew up on.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank you for the work that you've done in the community, the work that you've done for soca and the culture, and just the genre in its whole. So big up to you, Kevin. Madman. You know, what can I say? Kevin Lyttle's in the building.
Yeah, man, but yo, you know, I want to congratulate you on this. I know you had told me when you were going to start this, so, you know, I'm very happy to see that you're at what number interview you're at now?
I think this is 13.
13,
Yeah.
wow, bro. Yo, I feel like it's just the other day you tell me about this.
Yeah,
that's
I think
awesome.
Miami Carnival,
Congratulations.
I think we talked about it.
Yeah,
you know?
congrats,
So
man.
just another what you say, revenue stream, another thing to do.
Yeah.
To kind of
And that's how you got to do it, man.
Yeah.
You got to diversify your life.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So thank you once again. This is what they do. You already know, man. What they do.
What they do.